now that the creator drama is gone. By the way, congratulations to Tectone for clearing up his name. Let's talk about who you should pull between Black Swan and Imbibitor Lunae. So, for the people who want a short answer, the general rule of thumb is that if you have a Kafka, you should pull for Black Swan. And if you want to go for Imbibitor Lunae, it is in your best interest to get Sparkle. Now, for the people who want an explanation of why this is the case. Let's talk about Black Swan first. Black Swan is a Nihility 5-star character capable of dealing debuffs called Arcana. Arcana is a type of debuff capable of dealing damage to enemies every turn. To better explain this, let's look at her kit. Her basic attack gives a debuff called Arcana, and it can stack this thing called Sacrament. What is Sacrament? Every stack of Sacrament gives more damage to the DOT that would pop, and if an enemy is already affected by Wind Shear, Burn, Bleed, or Shock, it has a chance to add one more stack. Her skill has a high chance to give Sacrament and also lowers the defense of the enemy and anyone beside the enemy targeted. And her ult deals wind damage and gives Revelation to the enemies hit by it. This causes the enemy to receive more damage. Also, when Sacrament triggers, it will keep its stack until the next turn. Her talent has a chance to inflict Sacrament on the enemy if they're affected by a DOT the next round. And her technique, or the skill that you can use before battle, gives you a high chance of giving a Sacrament at the beginning of a battle. So to summarize it all, Sacrament stacks and gives more DOT damage. All her skills can cause Sacrament, and Ultimate can keep Sacraments from going away. Okay, now that I think we all understand that, Kafka's skill pops DOT. So if Black Swan gives DOT, Kafka pops it. So for every turn, you could potentially pop her abilities 2 times, meaning 2 times the damage. So what if you don't have a Kafka? If you don't have Kafka, I would recommend just pulling for Imbibitor Lunae and trying to get Sparkle on the next banner. But if you really like Black Swan, there's no one stopping you from pulling her. Pull who you think you would enjoy, and not for the meta. It would still work, but probably not as well as if you have a Kafka. Now, if you want Imbibitor Lunae, make sure you have enough to also be able to get Sparkle. Don't get me wrong, Imbibitor Lunae alone is a great damage dealer, but you're losing a lot of potential if you don't have Sparkle at his team at the same time. This is because Imbibitor Lunae is very reliant on your skill points for him to deal a lot of damage. And what does Sparkle do? Why is she so good with Imbibitor Lunae? So her kit comprises her basic attack. Just dealing quantum damage, nothing fun, should be the least of your priorities while upgrading her traces. Her skills give 36% of her critical damage to an ally, plus 16% for a single turn. And she also advances its action forward by 50%. To explain this, if Sparkle has 100% critical damage, 36% of it goes to the chosen ally, and another 16% which is completely unreliant on Sparkle's critical damage. So all in all, 36 plus 16 equals 52% additional critical damage. So this means the best stat to get for Sparkle would be her critical damage stat. By the way, I'm sorry if you feel like I'm talking to you like children. I just want everyone to be able to actually get it before I move on. So moving on, her ultimate is what makes her really good with Imbibitor Lunae. We know that Imbibitor Lunae eats a lot of skill points for him to deal a lot of AoE damage. Well, Sparkle's ultimate gives you 4 skill points every time it is used. And if that wasn't enough, it would also give you Cypher. And every character that has Cypher would give 10% more damage to her talent for 2 turns. But what is her talent? Her talent gives you 2 more skill point stashes, meaning you would have 7 max skill points every time she's on your team. When you use a skill point, it would give all your characters 6% more damage and could stack up to 3 times for 2 turns. So basically, if Sparkle is on a team with Imbibitor Lunae, he just becomes a fucking tank and destroys everyone. Imagine maxing out all the buff that Sparkle could give, which would be 58% more damage from Sparkle's ultimate and talent, plus Sparkles. 36% of Sparkles crit plus 16% more. If Imbibitor Lunae AoEs, everyone just gets nukes. So what if you don't have a Sparkle? I would say you're just trolling, like literally. She is definitely needed for Imbibitor Lunae. If you're planning to get Imbibitor Lunae but couldn't get Sparkle because they're just next to each other, I would suggest just saving up for her till her next rerun, because it is just a crime not to use Sparkle with him. That is it for this guide. I probably didn't cover enough, but this is for sure the basic information that you need to decide which of them you want to pull. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more short guides.